Have you ever had a trade idea in your head where you've done your analysis, you've drawn the levels, checked the indicators, maybe even stared at the screen for 20 minutes and still didn't take the trade? Or worse, you did take the trade, but only after hesitating for so long that you got a terrible entry and ended up shaken out? This one quite literally happened to me last week. And it's not that you don't understand the charts, it's not that you haven't been putting in the time to learn, it's that you're stuck in what we call analysis paralysis. And it's one of the most frustrating places to be as a trader. You're doing all of the work, putting in the effort, learning the strategies, but when it's time to actually execute, you freeze. You second guess, you overthink, and before you know it, either the setup is gone or your confidence is. But here's the thing most people won't tell you. This doesn't mean you're a bad trader. It doesn't mean you're not cut out for this. It means you're human. And your brain is doing what it thinks is protecting you by trying to avoid risk, pain, or being wrong. The good news? There's a way out. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to beat analysis paralysis step by step. You'll learn how to simplify your trade setup, rewire your mindset around decision making, and use a clear checklist that helps you go from hesitation to confident execution. This is one of the lessons that changes how you trade forever, so stick with me until the end. Hi, my name is Jenna and this is 𝗖𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃. I apologize in advance if you can see a ring light in the reflection of my glasses and it's annoying you. However, I've been flying blind as a bat without them, so please be kind. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Be sure to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And if you can take a few extra seconds to drop a real comment below, I would love you forever. Because right now the bots are going crazy and I don't know what in the AW1234567 is going on, but the scam comments are taking over. So help me fight the bots one real comment at a time. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about why we overthink, because analysis paralysis, it's not just a trading problem, it's a decision-making problem. And it shows up when the fear of making the wrong move becomes stronger than your trust in your plan. Most traders don't freeze because they don't know enough. They freeze because they're trying to avoid pain, specifically the pain of losing money. And the crazy part, it doesn't even matter if it's only 1% risk. The idea of being wrong is enough to make you hesitate or overcomplicate the setup. The fear of being wrong. This one runs deep, especially if you're someone who's used to being right or successful in other areas of your life. In most areas of life, being wrong means failure, but in trading, being wrong is just part of the math. You could lose 6 out of 10 trades and still be profitable if your risk to reward and consistency are locked in. FOMO, or the fear of missing out. This one's sneaky. You hesitate, the market moves without you, and suddenly you feel like you've missed the trade. So what do? You jump into the next setup too early or force a trade out of frustration. That's how analysis paralysis often leads to impulsive trading. It's like a cycle: hesitate, miss, overcorrect. TMI, or too much information overload. This one's a big one. You've got your EMAs, your fibs, market structure, support, resistance, RSI, volume, divergences, 5 YouTubers in your head, Donald Trump's Twitter on refresh, and now you're stuck. We've been taught that more information equals better decisions. But in trading, it usually equals more confusion. And look, here's the truth. The market is never going to give you 100% certainty. You'll never have a setup that guarantees success. And that's okay, because your job as a trader is not to be perfect. Your job is to make confident, repeatable decisions using a clear process, even when the outcome is unknown. But this is what it's costing you. Most traders think that overanalyzing keeps them safe, that it's helping them avoid losses or bad trades. But in reality, it's what's keeping them stuck. And not just stuck in one trade, stuck in their entire trading journey. Sometimes the perfect setup is right in front of you. It checks every box on your strategy checklist. But you hesitate. You want just one more confirmation and then boom, the trade is gone, and now you're chasing, not trading. It feels productive to sit at the chart for hours, but staring at candles all day without taking action leads to decision fatigue. You start second-guessing setups you would normally take in seconds, and your brain gets exhausted before you've even clicked a button. This one's a silent killer. Every time you see a valid trade and don't take it, you reinforce a message: I don't trust myself. And when that happens over and over, it becomes your new normal of doubt, delay, and regret. You might not even realize it's happening, but every missed trade, every hesitation that you didn't log or reflect on, those moments add up. They erode your confidence. They teach your brain that hesitation is safer than execution. And that's exactly how traders stay stuck for months or even years without even realizing why. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce the idea that you can't trust yourself. And over time, that becomes your new default: hesitation, self-doubt, and playing it safe. But in trading, safe doesn't mean profitable. The edge goes to those who take action when their plan says go. Let me show you the biggest shift I had to make when I was stuck in hesitation mode. Instead of trying to be right all of the time, I started focusing on being consistent, and that shift changed everything. See, most people come into trading with the wrong expectations. They think if they just study hard enough, find the right strategy, follow the right trader, they'll eventually get to a place where they stop losing trades. But here's the truth: that place doesn't exist. Losses are part of the game. They're part of the data set. And unless you accept that, you'll keep chasing certainty that doesn't exist and hesitating when it's time to execute. You don't need to win every trade. In fact, some of the most consistent traders I know win just 40 to 50% of the time. What makes them profitable isn't their win rate, it's their discipline, their ability to take the same high quality trades over and over again, no matter how the last one turned out. Your job is to execute your edge. When you have a strategy or system that gives you an edge, your only job is to execute it. Not to win every time, not to be perfect, but to show up and take the trade when your rules say go. So let me say this clearly. Success in trading doesn't come from being right, it comes from being consistent. It comes from acting without hesitation when your plan is in play. That's how you build confidence. That's how you rewire your trading brain. Once you reframe what it means to be successful, and once you stop chasing perfection and start trusting your process, you'll finally be able to trade without fear, without hesitation, and without guilt. That's when everything changes. If you're looking for a solid exchange to trade on, consider checking out Bitunix. There is no KYC required and no VPN needed, so you should be able to get access to this one worldwide. You can trade spot and futures here, and you'll get a 20% trading fee rebate, so you can keep more of the profits, but only if you use the exclusive link in the description of this video to create your account. Trading fee rebates really do add up over time, and as your account grows, you need to be looking for ways to minimize the fees you pay on trade. Now that we've talked about why you freeze and what it's costing you, I want to give you a framework to help you beat analysis paralysis and start trading with confidence. This isn't about magic indicators or taking every move that looks exciting. This is about building a system that removes emotions from your decision. Because if you wait until you feel ready, you'll hesitate every time. You don't need more information, you need a plan, so let's build one. So let's break this down super simply. Define your setup. If you don't know exactly what your entry looks like, you're going to overthink every setup you see. That's why you need to define your edge. What are the conditions that must be present before you even think about entering a trade? Now keep in mind, the example I'm about to walk you through is the kind of framework you'd use if you were a more conservative trader, where you're patiently waiting for the market to give you multiple reasons to take the trade. Could be structure, EMA volume, confirmation candles, maybe even a fib level. And when all of those boxes are checked, that's when you step in with confidence. Remember, the goal is not to find the perfect setup, it's to have a repeatable one you trust. So what does that look like? The first thing I am looking for is the market trending? So right now I can see that the market has come from a downtrend. I have a double bottom. The market has now shifted. I have a new high and a higher low, which means the market is now giving me an early indication that we are changing trend. And now I have higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So clearly we are in an uptrend. If you don't have a clear trend, you're already adding unnecessary confusion. So step 1, trend is confirmed. The next step is I want to see price pulling back into a key area, something like previous structure or an EMA or possibly a fib level. Here we can see that price is pulling back to the 200 EMA, which was acting as our dynamic resistance level, but once we broke through on increasing volume and started to change market structure, it then flipped the EMAs to become support. If I look left, I can also see that this area was previous market structure as well. I can see it has held as support here. It was a resistance level and also support resistance throughout this price action here. So without overcomplicating it, I already have 2 points of confluence right there. Step 3 is volume weakness on the pullback. Now let's look at the volume during this pullback here. Notice how volume is dropping when price is pulling back. That's exactly what I want to see. Weak volume on the pullback shows sellers aren't in control. If volume was spiking like this during the pullback, that would be a red flag for me and I would need to reconsider or wait for further confirmation. But cool, so at this point we've got 3 things lined up. The trend is clearly established and we are in an uptrend. Price has pulled back to a key level, being the EMAs and previous market structure support/resistance area, and the volume shows weakness during this pullback. Before we jump to look for our confirmation candle though, there's something important I always check first, and that is, does this setup meet my minimum risk to reward? Whether you're aiming for a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, or whatever your plan is, you need to make sure the distance to your target makes sense compared to the risk you're taking. If it doesn't meet your minimum risk to reward, then it's a no-go, even if everything else looks good. So after you've weighed up whether it meets your minimum risk to reward, the next step is to wait for your confirmation candle. Now this part is key. Right here we have a bullish railroad track off the 200 EMA, and then price even gave you some time to think about it because it went into consolidation above the 200 EMA. That right there is your go signal. That is your green light. No more guessing, no more waiting for extra confirmation. The plan says enter, so you enter. If you wanted to add into this a step 5, which I think you should, just know that all boxes do not have to be ticked. You want 4 out of 5 of them to be ticked. So the next one would be Fibonacci confluence. If I pull my fib from the peak formation low to the peak formation high, and all of this price action, what we've just been through, had pulled back to the 38.2 fib or the 50 fib or the golden pocket, then that's just added confirmation on top of what we already have. So let's look at what we do have here. We can clearly see that we got our trend. We can see that price has pulled back into a key structure, being that resistance now support area and the 200 EMA. We can see that the volume was weak during the pullback, and we got our confirmation candles. This is what I mean when I say define your setup. You're not guessing, you're stacking probabilities in your favor. When your setup is this clear, it takes so much pressure off your decision making because you're not sitting there thinking, should I, shouldn't I? Your checklist says yes, so you trust it. You take it and let the market do the rest. The next step to building your trading confidence is having a pre-trade checklist. This is your personal filter. It protects you from emotional trades and forces you to think like a professional. Using the example above, this is what it would look like. Number 1, is the market trending or ranging? Number 2, Am I trading in the direction of the current trend? Number 3, has price returned to a key level, be it an EMA, a Fibonacci level, or support or resistance? Number 4, do I have confirmation candles? And number 5, does this trade meet my minimum risk to reward? Once this checklist is green across the board, the decision is already made. You're not hesitating anymore, you're executing. The final part of this framework is about something most traders overlook, and it's called pre-commitment. This means once your checklist is complete, the decision is already made. You don't sit there debating, you don't wait for one more candle or hope for extra confirmation. You've already done the work, the only thing left is execution. When you pre-commit, you remove the need for emotional validation. You don't need to feel ready, and you don't need the market to look extra perfect. You don't need to check 5 more indicators, and you don't need to go watch 5 more YouTubers. You just need to trust the system you've already built, because real confidence doesn't come from needing more confirmation. It comes from following through on your plan. The biggest shift I made personally was moving from reactive trading to pre-committed trading. Reactive trading is when you're glued to the screen trying to feel whether it's time to enter. Pre-committed trading is when you already know what you're waiting for, and when you see it, you act without hesitation. And personally, for myself, I know exactly what my setup looks like. I'm an aggressive trader. So I'm trying to catch the early change in trend. When the trend is bearish, I'm trying to look for a long to flip the other way. Or if the trend is bullish, I'm looking for reasons to go short should I get that early change in trend signal. But what does that setup look like? For me, I have to know where I am in the TBD model. I only want to find this setup after 3 level drops or 3 level rises. Next, I need to find a stopping volume candle. A stopping volume candle is a high volume candle that is essentially stopping the move to the downside. I can also see that it is false move week beginning, being the Monday. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out this blue vector candle as the trap traders zone or my area of interest to look for the rest of my setup. In this move here where it pulls back, it needs to create a higher low or give me bullish candles in my marked area of interest. At the same time that it is doing that, I need to see the market makers show up 3 times. Now that I'm on the 5-minute time frame, I can see the market makers have showed up 1, 2, 3 times. And this move, I already know, is to induce traders to take a position at the worst possible time, trapping them on the inside right side of a W formation. So now that I can see that, all I am waiting for is bullish candlestick patterns on the 15-minute time frame. Now there were 3 candles here with large wicks to the downside. This was an entry, but if you hesitated, like we know, analysis paralysis, then this candle was a no-brainer. And now we are holding for 3 level rises. Point is, define your setup, know exactly what it looks like. It's not about being reckless. It's about knowing your rules so clearly that the emotion doesn't get a say anymore. The plan speaks louder than the fear. Every hesitation is a crack in your confidence. Every time you follow your plan without second guessing, you're laying a brick for long-term consistency. Pre-commitment builds the muscle of trust. Trust in your rules, trust in your system, and trust in yourself. Alright, so maybe you've learned the setup, you've built your checklist, and you understand the mindset, but you still freeze when it's time to click the button. If that's you, that's okay. It just means you need more reps. Trading confidence isn't something you think your way into. Confidence comes from practice, from doing it over and over. So here's exactly what I would recommend if you're still stuck in hesitation mode. One of the best ways to beat hesitation is by practicing in bar replay mode. So what you would do is go back to a clean chart, scroll to a random point in time, close your eyes, click, mark out all of your levels. Once you've marked out your levels, This is where you apply your checklist and hit play. Now, did your setup hit? Did you follow your rules? And do this 30, 40, 50, 60 times. The more you practice making real-time decisions, the easier it becomes to act when trading live price action. The best part is you're training your execution muscle without risking a cent. This is your trading simulator, so use it. If you're live trading and still hesitating, try cutting your risk in half or even smaller down to 0.25%. Just enough to feel it, but not enough to stress you out should the trade go against you. Most hesitation doesn't come from the strategy, it comes from the fear of losing money. So take the pressure off, build confidence with small wins and clean execution. You'll grow so much faster than if you were forcing trades with full size risk and stressing over every move. Most traders only journal their wins and losses, but if you're struggling with hesitation, you need to journal something more important, and this is your emotions and thought process before, during, and after. Did I follow my plan? Did I hesitate? What did I feel before, during, and after the trade? When you do this, you'll start to notice patterns in your behavior, and that's where real improvement happens. And if you're watching this thinking, okay, Janet, I get it now, but I still want a bit more support or a deeper breakdown of these strategies, then you'll love what we've built inside Trade Travel Chill. Whether you're a more self-paced learner or someone who thrives with coaching and live sessions, we've got memberships for both. With a first class membership, you'll get access to all of the courses, custom indicators, and recordings of the live session. However, you don't get direct access to the coaches. It's great for those who feel confident in learning and applying knowledge on their own. If you're someone who thrives with coaching and an active Discord community and live sessions, we've got a membership for that as well, which is first class membership. You'll get access to everything in business class, access to the coaching, live session, and access to our altcoin analysis reports. We have a 48-hour money back guarantee, and you can pay with crypto and get up to 20% off your membership. There's a link in the description of this video where you can explore everything, and yes, we've made it super affordable to get started with membership starting under $100 per month. So remember, hesitation doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're learning to trust yourself, and trust takes practice. So take the pressure off, follow your plan, and focus on getting better, not being perfect. If you've made it this far, then you already know you don't need to wait until you're 100% confident to take action. Confidence comes from action. It comes from building trust in your process, not in your emotions, not in your guesses, but in your edge. We've talked about why traders overthink, we've looked at what it's costing you, and I've shown you how to simplify your process, how to make decisions without hesitation, and how to train yourself to act with clarity. So if this video gave you even one moment where something clicked, where you thought, that's what I needed, then my job here is done. That's why I make these videos, because no one tells you this stuff when you're starting out. No one tells you that overthinking, the hesitation, the fear, it's normal, but it's not permanent. And now you've got a way forward. So here's your challenge. The next time you see a setup that fits your plan, take it. Don't wait, don't doubt, just follow the process. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. Consider it a good loss, but don't take that loss as, I need a new strategy. I knew I needed more confirmation. I should have listened to that dude on YouTube. I should have checked Donald Trump's Twitter. Don't do that to yourself. Don't go back down that rabbit hole, because traders who win aren't the ones who know everything. They're the ones who trust what they know and take action when it matters.